actually don't live here and their houses are empty. They're non-resident homeowners that do not contribute to the rental market. So,
But if you live in Vancouver and you own a place up here, you can still vote in municipal elections. Can you not? I think that's how it works.
sorry?
If you own property here, but you don't even live here full time, it's like you
It's
can
like
still
it's
actually vote. There's hotels that do that, like share ownership. You mean like you can buy like 25% or something? Well, like see something for sale that's like 250,000, and you're like, wow,
yeah,
that's
it's a
cheap. And you're like,
timeshare.
it's 25%.
You get like a 25% share of like Legends, you know.
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch.
Yeah, so like here's the deal: is like there is a major housing crisis in Whistler because like as you can imagine, most of the people who actually work here don't make enough money to own here. But
Or even
what's
rent
happened?
here, let's be honest.
Well, no, what's happened? So they were all renters, but now what's happened in the last 10 years is like the property value went up, so all the renters basically got displaced from their units, and now we're seeing a lot of infill with temporary foreign workers. And the thing about temporary foreign workers is they don't have a vote, they don't have a say, they don't have a voice. Nobody asks them what are the living conditions and working conditions like. And so for us to speculate about the living conditions of temporary foreign workers, we really have no idea. We don't even really know exactly how many there are, but it's thought that approximately 50%, 45, 40, 45, 50% of the Whistler workforce is comprised of temporary foreign workers like yourselves who are here on working visas. Um, yeah, but you're not part of the census. Not, there's, according to our census of Whistler, there are 5 people living in RVs. There are five people living in non-permanent dwellings such as RVs. There's like 5 people in like there's like 5 people in several different driveways on certain roads. Like, so as a temporary foreign worker, what is your contract like? These are my questions. What is your housing situation like? Like, what is when you come in? Like, does your employer provide your housing? And if you're left to find market housing, like, what would your opportunities be?
Well, at the Four Seasons for sure. You go in there, you can have 2 options between on-site or off-site accommodation. So you can be in on-site accommodation, which is, as we said, like 57 people living on a hotel corridor. You've got 2 units, so 1 room, 2 units. Sorry, 1 unit, 2 rooms in each unit, and then 2 bunk beds, so 4 people in each room.
So really similar to Whistler Blackcomb staff housing, where it's basically a 2-bedroom with 4 bunks. So and the person in your bunk is an unrelated adult that you've never met before, randomly assigned. 4 men, 2 rooms.
Yeah, it's like a hostel type thing.
Okay. And what's the rent?
$450.
That's very affordable.
Can you share a shower with 7 other dudes and 1 bathroom and no kitchen?
Well, maybe about
No kitchen. No kitchen at all.
Well, I mean,
There's no
I came
kitchen.
from Australia where I was paying $400 a month.
You have a
I had
kitchen.
my own room that was like 5 by 5
Yeah,
meters
you have
with a backyard and a
a
pool.
kitchen at the end of this corridor, which is called
not
the grill.
Oh.
And that's shared by 57 other people.
But you don't have a kitchen within your single four-person unit. No. There's a community kitchen down the road.
Yeah, and within the unit of 8 people, so there's around 2 rooms in each unit,
Okay.
4 people in each room. But in the unit, the 8 people unit, you get 1 little mini fridge for those 8 people.
Wow.
That would
Okay.
be the tough thing.
Can you pay double, pay $900, and have your own private room?
Yeah, so the other option is off-site accommodation.
No, but if you're doing on-site, like if you're like, hey, listen, I don't really want to share a room with another dude I don't know. And wait, like how, like, okay, can you describe like the quarters? Like, Is it like a 15 by 15 like spread out beds? Are you on bunk beds?
So it's like, I would say, how wide are the rooms? The room can fit 4 meters, my bed, and then that same amount of width on the other side. So what's that, like 4 meters? So it's 4 meters wide by maybe like 8 meters deep.
8 meters.
No, they're probably about 10 meters.
10 meters.
That's 30. Wait, meters or feet?
Meters. Meters.
That's like 30 meters. That's big. That's like as long as this dock.
30 meters.
No, definitely not.
No. Oh, 8 meters. So 30 feet.
It's half of this. The room is half of this dock.
Okay.
Yeah,
With
the
2
room-
people.
Yeah, the room's half this dock.
And like the same dimensions, pretty
Yeah, so
much.
you've got a
Okay.
double, you've got a bunk bed in
Yeah,
that.
Bunk
it'd be-
bed?
actually,
Bunk bed here.
to this little break here,
Yeah.
it'd be the exact size of this. So
Sorry.
there's a bunk here and a bunk.
Well, from what I remember.
Wait, are you talking about 4 people in one room?
Sleep.
4 people in one room? 2 bunks per
You have a
room?
window you can open because
So
I remember the fresh
there's
air
there's
being
one
in there.
window.
I thought it was like Whistler Blackcomb staff housing. It's like 2 rooms, 1 bunk in each room, and then they have a
2 rooms, 2 bunks per room.
so
4
4
bunks
people,
per unit.
4 dudes in one room, no kitchen, and it's about half the size of this dock. Okay,
You're sharing a bathroom between 8 people.
okay, so that's 450. What's your other option? And you can't be like, hey, like let's have just. It would be 900 if you kicked out half of the occupants to share a room with another dude.
But you can't do that.
You can't do that.
That's not an option.
It's like
It would cut down
4
their options of, like,
Yeah.
four-
how-
4 people per bedroom.
Then you get people into the room.
So, this is not known. This is unknown information on the public narrative of Whistler. On the public narrative of Whistler, you guys don't have a voice. Okay? Nobody hears you.
They're making a fortune off people staying on site.
Yeah.
What is it, 55?
Jeez. Well, when I think about it, first I thought you were talking
55
about
by
two people.
450.
Wow.
It's like a couple thousand.
450 a person.
And so how many of these rooms are there on the wing? You said 50?
There's 2 wings.
2 wings
Well, yeah,
of staff housing.
I think
58 people.
$3,600 a month for your unit.
58 people in each wing.
Yeah.
So you've got about 120 overall, something like that.
Even for them, that seems kind of reasonable for you. They're really packing you in there, and that's like. Yeah.
But what's your other option?
So the other option is off-site accommodation.
Okay.
Off-site accommodation is where you can live in a house with about 6 people.
That's still run by your employer.
And
Yeah.
Still run,
Yeah.
These houses are
Like they probably bought it or something.
They would own the house.
Yeah.
I think.
yeah, and
Because there's a specific number of houses.
Or they might be renting it.
Staff accom, isn't it? Creekside is staff. Have you done surveys with the Creekside people?
Which unit are you talking about?
Like Creekside, there's a staff accommodation.
It's Whistler Blackcomb staff accommodation. Yeah.
Do they have?
There's a Whistler Blackcomb staff accommodation. No, it's like if you go on, it's on West Side Road. It's like before.
Yeah, across from Tamara's.
It's before
Yeah.
it's before like Twin Lakes and stuff.
Those are the off-site accommodation for 4 seasons.
So they have it in that building.
Own some of those. No, they own some of those properties, or they,
Oh.
they let some of those properties, and they have like their staff sort of pack them in and come and live there.
And so, what are the conditions on those? And is it better than what you're looking at?
So yeah, they are better because you're sharing a kitchen with 6 people. And then you've got a little bit more privacy. You can have a room by yourself. You're also sometimes sharing. You're in.
It's kind of luck of the draw. Yeah, you can get put in with someone else, or you can end up getting rid of them. I think.
And what's this like? Why aren't you guys in that one?
Well, first off, it was like I just want to go there. I think on-site accommodation for meeting people, living in.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
really easy to meet people.
What's your age? May I ask?
I'm 24.
24. Okay.
Well, I only just got here a month ago, so I've kind of just been cruising.
Oh,
So, yeah.
yeah, but that's part of summer. Which I bought now.
Cool. Okay. Cool. And like in the kitchen that you shared with 58 people, can you just describe a little bit more what that looks like? Like, are you allowed to keep food there? Are you allowed to cook?
There's 2 double door fridges and a stand-up freezer. And the kitchen's quite big. They have 2 ovens, like 2 stoves, and then like a big bench island in the middle. So there's like a lot of space. But maybe like if there's 3 people cooking in there, that's too many.
Okay.
You're not really going to be able to fit more people in there, which happens all the time if you're trying to cook. Because
Okay.
there's 60 people that live
Do you want some chocolate?
So yeah, it can get busy, especially if people are drinking in the area next to it, which is where like the tables are. It can get really busy in there. But the rules,
You want to be able to have a little place with 6 people that you get on well with, and then that's your house. And then
Cool.
people are constantly leaving the on-site account. Like, I've had 4 roommates leave in the past week and a half, and 2 new people just come in. So like they're
Is there new? So they kind of just have that to like, or to like deliver you guys from your countries.
Yeah.
So you have
some
somewhere.
people stay
Huge
there,
drop. You
like
can
some
offer
people stay
somebody
there
a
for like
vacation.
6-7 months. Some people just like don't mind staying there.
And is it hard to get an offsite?
on the simplest interview thing, making clear that genuinely the idea of the on-site accommodation is good. It has some really good things to really good benefits for people that are arriving who don't know anyone.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, but I think for
That's good.
Right in the
for
village.
you are our age, because I think actually if you are older than 18, 19, 20, you do want to kind of have your own place and you want to be able to have that privacy and do that. So, I'm not saying that on-site accommodation isn't a good thing. It can be a good thing for
Yeah, of
certain
course.
people.
Makes it easy to arrive, know that you have a place at your work. You don't need transportation. You can meet a bunch of new people.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really good.
But then, as far as getting into offsite, is that difficult? Are there hurdles?
But you can just go up to people in culture team and you can say, I really like to go into on-site accommodation, and they can help you find.
I think they give you a list of all the houses with all the people in it.
And there's some turnover there too, so you have a decent option of getting in.
They're actual like resident like houses, or are they like condos?
They're like little condos.
Oh.
You got rooms of 3 floors, but you need like 2 bedrooms.
I've never heard any of this.
But actually, no, there's so many.
I've always wondered.
There's so many different houses.
Wow.
So there's so many
They're pretty like affordable. It's like, do you think that you could find like long-term, secure, affordable accommodation through your employer? Like that you would be willing, that you would be wanting to stay around and.
Who's the person that has been living in one place?
Yeah, people going for their PR, like.
I think it's very seasonal work.
How long do you think most people stay?
6 months.
Max?
So it seems like for your employer, that's kind of what works for them, so they don't need to have any more actual responsibility of.
Because
They want to keep you, forever, for 5 years.
Yeah, no.
I guess you don't need to. You're easy to train your jobs.
And there are people that have been there for ages. There are servers, some servers.
Like locals, who would call themselves locals?
Reem's been there for 12 years. Something like 12 years.
There are.
What's their housing situation like? Do you know?
She lives with her husband somewhere. I don't know. So
Yeah,
Super
they
interesting.
help you work. They expect that you'll be leaving very soon after you get there.
And do they want you to leave, do you think?
They don't want you to leave, but they kind of almost don't care if you stay.
It's like built into their business model.
Yeah, like they already
The
have it.
training that they give you is so terrible because they don't really, like, they think you're gonna leave. They're just expecting you to leave. My training was so bad. Like, you think that they would have.
In what way? Like, what did you think was missing?
Oh, they never actually showed me exactly what I'm meant to be doing.
What are you doing?
I do housekeeping. So they should teach me like one method of making a bed, one method
Yes.
of cleaning the showers. But I ended up doing, so basically your training is you just follow and help someone else that's been working there for a couple of months probably.
Hope that they have good habits.
And hope that they have good habits. So the first person I was with showed me like okay way to make the bed, but it was like a bit sloppy.
So it's not standardized.
There's no
That's what
standard.
you're saying. Got it.
Do people complain about the beds being made? Like the way they're made?
Not really. No.
Hmm.
I
Ma-
mean, some people probably.
I know this is like a really weird question, but like how much would you say that you make per hour?
I make $23.
Like total, including tips and stuff?
I don't really get tips.
Okay.
And
And
if I'm lucky, I'll get $5.
not including tips. And our tips are really good. Like, would you say maybe double that, like with tips?
Sometimes.
Yeah, different servers get more tips depending on where you are. Like, I have a friend that works in the pool, and he was saying that when the heat wave was like 2 weeks ago, he made like $500 in tips in 1 week.
Tips in the pool are like very much back of the house.
Yeah.
In a week?
I worked in the pool the other week and I got a tip from a guy back in hand. And but you just pocket that. You just pocket the cash just there and then. You don't put it into the jar. Yeah. They have a different one. Some people do if you get tips, it's like done on the machine. If you're just walking around the pool. I mean, I think the guy just like the accent. I mean, genuinely. You know, it's just like, you go,
Yeah. Do you guys say you live comfortably in Whistler, or would you say what would you like to see better, done better, or like what if I don't know, just like giving you a brief experience in Whistler, like how could we make it better?
I
fucking love it.
I love everything except
I love Whistler.
the work-life balance isn't like I'm working 5 days a week right now, and I asked my manager if I could move down to 4 so that I can actually like enjoy the summer, and they told me to go fuck myself basically.
Oh shit.
I will interject and say that I highly believe no matter what job you're doing, 4 days a week is where it's at. I have a friend who's managing a fancy expensive restaurant here. He works 5 days a week, ends up being 12, 13-hour days, and he's losing his mind. And no matter what you're doing, 3 days off a week is where it's at, and people need to figure out how to make it work.
4 day
I
work
would
week.
have been having to work like 9-10 hours a day almost for 4 days to have three off. So
Yeah.
they told you to go after yourself, really?
Yeah, pretty much. She was like, "Oh, if I give it to you, I have to offer it to everybody." And
Which
I was
is
like,
actually everyone should offer it.
Are you allowed to find another?
Offer it to everybody. And it wouldn't make that much of a difference. It'd be like
That's
3
what I mean.
people
They can figure it
dispersion,
out.
and
Yeah.
if you just disperse that amongst all of the people,
Yeah.
it's like 1 extra room.
I just don't want to change things.
Yeah.
Could you make more working for a private company?
I think you go cleaning jobs can pay up to $30 an hour, but then you'd have to have market housing, so you have a whole other thing to
Yeah.
deal with, and they know that your employer does.
That's
So
probably too much of a hassle.
unfortunately, I agree, and that's kind of the temporary.
Yeah, I don't know how hard is it to find private housing. If like let's say we had
the
6,
hardest thing ever. I know you
let's
just
say
got
we had a
here,
group
but
of
like
6 boys.
I lived here for 8 years, and this is like the thing that's like under my skin.
It's like impossible to do.
Somewhat, yeah. For example, to tell you my situation, like the only reason I have somewhat reasonable housing right now is because there's a thing called the Whistler Housing Authority, the WHA. It's a nonprofit which offers housing to locally employed.
It's not a nonprofit.
It is.
It's a corporation. It's a corporation owned by and administered by the municipality.
I thought it was registered as a nonprofit.
I don't think
Why did
so.
I think that?
It's not.
Really? Okay. Minor discrepancy. Thank you for clearing that up.
It's a corporation that is run by the
I
municipality.
don't know why I was saying nonprofit.
Partially.
Then, actually. Okay. But
I don't
they-
know. Like, let's look into that. But I'm pretty sure it's not.
Could be. Anyway, their mandate is to like house Whistler's locals. But basically what happens, I mean, you need to be a citizen to apply anyway. So like temporary farm workers, you don't apply, unfortunately. And yeah, it still takes 5 years to get on the
You can't
list
even. You have
or
to be.
whatever. So yeah, it took me 5 years of like waiting and living wherever, and then now I have like a small, reasonably priced rental unit in a place where I'm not going to get rent evicted, which means like kicked out by your landlord. It's like there's a loophole where if you can rent it, you can kick people out and then charge more. So it is stable. But I feel okay, but I'm still incensed by all of the bullshit.
5 years is a long time to wait for me to get that.
Yeah, and listen, there's all kinds of situations. So that's basically the only time where you can feel confident because, yeah, you're renting in a place, you've been there for 5 years, and like she was saying earlier, your landlord's going to get like motivated to sell because the realtor is going to be like, hey man, I can get you this much for your house, let me list it. And then
It's a 2,000% increase over what you paid for it.
yeah, and there's no law against it, so they're not doing anything wrong. It's just this is how the system is set up, right? And this is like not even just in Whistler.
Sort of reputation of Whistler, though.
It's not even just Whistler, guys. The housing crisis and this whole like housing situation crisis
Is everywhere.
all
Everywhere. Los
Canada specifically,
Angeles,
probably everywhere
New
in
York, every
Yeah.
single mountain town, the Vancouver Island, the
Canada.
housing
Fox Mountain,
crisis.
Nova
The housing
Scotia,
crisis is happening, but Whistler it's amplified because
Something's always going to rise exponentially all the time. The price is always going to be, that's the thing
Yeah.
with housing. We know that.
What the problem is, though, actually, the root of the problem, actually, the one smart thing that I actually like learned from this person who's like got their like PhD in municipal organization or housing or something.
oh, who is this person?
It was an article I was telling you about in the CBC, and she said like the problem
Let's
is
talk to
it
her.
flipped a little. Well, she's Toronto or something, but like she said, she's like, listen, what happened is that housing became commodified, right? So housing became something that like people can make money from, as opposed to just sort of like a service and a thing that everyone needs, like food,
Real
and
estate,
water,
yeah.
and other
And it
like
did
human things to need, right? It sort
Well,
of slipped
water.
back to, like, housing is actually a thing that people need. Well,
Let's
yeah,
talk
there's
about that later
Yeah,
in the
we'll
nicely
talk about
whole
it, yeah.
bottled water thing. But yeah.
But yeah, the problem is that through the system that we have created, we created a system in which, you know, those with means can, you know, oh, buy some properties, make money from them. But people making below a certain amount are sort of, you know, destined to just be slaves to that and pay the rising rents, and then sometimes not even be able to pay them, and then you're living in the woods in a tent. Honestly, right? And it's become worse in the past 20 years. So.
It's complicated for sure, but I think affordable housing is an essential right and a basic human right to everyone. Of course, I just think we're never going to stop the sort of way of housing being like a commodity and
Well, I would like to try.
Well, see, I disagree. Like, I personally, a lot of people, like, one of our former mayors had proposed that we impose a speculation limit.
Is that Nat?
So,
That's it.
no. But he had suggested that we impose a speculation limit. So you can still resell your property, but you can't sell it at 2,000%. You can maybe sell it at 200%. We at least impose a limit. And my feeling on that is that that is going to be widely unpopular with the people who got in early, who got the opportunity, you know, who
I
are
don't know if
like,
you want to punish the people.
you don't want to punish people, and that's the way I feel. You know, you do not want to punish people for getting lucky, but you do want to make sure that people are not being punished by the system by basically being evicted from their housing and turned into homeless people because you're taking away their housing. And like that's the thing is like, you know, if you don't want to punish people, then you need to have solutions in place to put roofs over people's heads. And like not every business has the resources of the Four Seasons to be able to offer them a whole wing of their hotel,
local businesses.
50 units in the space of cram them in for units. Like not every business can sustain themselves off of temporary foreign workers who are willing to live under those conditions. Like some businesses need qualified people who are already competitive on an open market. And like if you can't you're not going to get a doctor to live in a dorm unit with 4 other people,
or a veterinarian,
or you know whatever it may be, like
anyone,
or a ski patroller. Like if you have a tenured ski patroller who's making sure that our ski area is
like
safe,
also the most important.
You know, and they have maybe a partner and maybe a child. You can't put them in Four Seasons staff accommodation. You know, you can't put them in Whistler Blackcomb staff accommodation, but
you've got
they can't purchase, they can't rent.
They're working for the mountain, they're working for Vail Resort, then they can't go in that black.
I think what we're saying is that they don't. They probably will choose not to.
But the Blackcomb staff accommodation is designed for
like
early 20s, university age, dorm style people, and some of these positions.
Is it not more of a flat? I've heard it's more of a flat structure.
No, in Whistler Blackcomb staff.
Yeah, there's like 4 flats, but like 4 people.
Yeah, it's 2 people per bedroom, and 2 and 4 bedroom, 4 people per unit.
It's not like a flat that a full family could live in. Like,
Well, I mean, if you got
It's not
I don't know
1
if they would
bedroom.
allow like a couple and 2 kids to live in one of their 2-bedroom places. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't even know.
they could do that.
I don't even know.
But no, you make your point.
Mm.
So it doesn't. People that are coming out to work there, they do. If they don't want to live in a staff accommodation, then finding a place that is looking fucking difficult. And I think loads of people would really struggle to do that.
Did you guys even
So
check?
I want to ask next time I'm working. I want to ask Reem because she's been here for 12 years, and I want to see where she's doing.
Like how she does it? Yeah. Did you guys even look at market rentals like on Craigslist or Facebook?
We just literally just talking about it.
It's terrifying.
Did you do it? Did you do it? You haven't tried?
We were going to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, like today? No.
Yeah, literally.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to our
Get back to us.
informative session.
Get back to us when you find out. How many staff do you think the Four Seasons has, like, total? Like 1,000?
No.
500?
Definitely a couple hundred.
600.
That's it?
623.
Like 500-600. Minimum 400.
Yeah, definitely more than 400.
Super
Well,
interesting.
listen, the real life consequences of what's going on now, just to sort of give you a cute story and an idea, is kind of like, you can imagine,
Is this podcast, by the way?
no.
No, this is recording. It's recording. We're just
Yeah,
recording
I'm
it.
not posting this anywhere. I think
It's
it's
a
just so we
Joe
can
Rogan.
remember what's going on. Because, we drink.
We might make like smaller clips,
Just make notes.
because there's a whole generation that doesn't like have a longer than 5-second attention span. So if there's something really valuable you say, we might include that. But
my story is that, like, you can imagine, like, they're really like, well, if people are like, oh, you own a house up here, you come up here on the weekends or in the summer and just like, and you want to like eat out at like Roxy and whatever fancy restaurants all the time, and like, wow, okay, those places now, a lot of them are only open 5 days a week. They're literally closed 2 days a week because they have staff for 5 days a week, which is insane, actually. But that's happening, and then also even in those 5 days, you might not get the highest service because they're understaffed, because they don't have as many server assistants, hostesses, like all the people that make a restaurant work, like cooks in the back, like everything, right? Servers.
I think if you want to
So-
survive, yeah,
People are having the people with money and who are profiting off of having a house here and living here, just like have lots of money and this is just a fun vacation for them. Like they're complaining about like, oh, we're not having a very good like experience where we usually do and everyone sucks. And it's like, this is actually why.
You know what? I think it's because
It's literally because of the housing situation. Because maybe somebody was like up all night because their roommates were partying, or there were too many people, or they just like were sleeping in the woods. Like, who knows? It's literally what's happening now, though, and it's
oh shit, okay.
kind of insane, right? Which is the people that complain about those things. I've read letters to the editor in the Peak in our local free magazine that are complaining about service and things like that. And this is also, we're just getting out of COVID. So that's a whole other thing.
There's some inelasticity of elasticity, but the little demands who want to work in hospitality, work in that kind of based industry. I feel like a lot of people are using the sort of delivery services that we have now, cooking for themselves, learning, like we're coming into an age where through lockdown and COVID, loads of people picked up cooking, and loads of people want to be able to do it themselves. So I think the short staff in hospitality is down to that mainly, and the movement of loads of people just wanting to cook themselves, and people still go out.
There's still demand for high-end restaurants, but I'm sure.
But I think it's how it brings back on the employees and how they,
Because people will work for 8 months and they realize, oh, this is kind of nice, and oh, I can start my own business and do something and actually kind of still make ends meet. So do I want to go back to my job that's 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and as a cook in a kitchen with maybe a future, but who really knows? Everyone keeps on promising me something like, right? Like, why would you?
As well. Yeah, exactly. Like lots of people.
I think that's the mentality of like in any industry. Why people don't want to
Because
work in
you're
that kind of job
literally getting shut on for a living. You're getting
Yeah.
people that
Oh my God.
Before COVID, we kind of thought that's like what we had to
Can I tell you something? A funny story. My friend was did cleaning, housekeeping at a really elite fishing guide. You like fly in Alaska. She actually got recruited. She was working as a sandwich maker at organic, the Naked Sprout,
Oh yeah.
and she got recruited by some guests to come and work at their heli fishing company. She told me two of the guests, they were twin brothers. They paid bazillions of dollars to come. And she was in charge of cleaning their room. They're twin brothers. They're both lawyers from like New York. And every single morning that she came in to clean their suite, there was human shit on the floor. Every single morning. The entire time that they were there. And she had.
Were they taking ketamine? Like,
Oh my God. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? It was like there was no repercussion. She had no ability to be like, this is out of line. It's like, you're the housekeeping, you get what you're served. And you just literally said you're like being administered shit. Well, my friend actually was literally being administered shit at her workplace.
I want to know why this was happening. Like, could they not contain themselves? Were they doing ketamine? I mean, that's a side effect.
No, it was every morning. It's obviously pathologic behavior. Like,
or are they just like so ego high that they're like, we're just gonna do this for fun and fuck with our.
There's a lot of
health.
fucked up people out there, aren't there? That do shit like that. So.
they would do shit like that.
Because they think it's funny.
I would definitely not clean that. I'm leaving that.
I would definitely not be cleaning that up every day. And I told her that. I was like, that's not acceptable of a guest.
Dude, I can barely clean my own bathroom.
Left it in his wardrobe, right? And we all were down at that library, and we heard this rumor that someone was shitting
Like
in the
two
cup.
guys, one cup.
So
Like, what is
I was
this?
like, right, I'm going up to have a look at it. I went up, took a picture, took it down the boys, put it on the table, everyone just not because of shit on the table, put the picture.
Wait, so you saw this?
I saw
What?
it, yeah.
Why?
I saw it. Fucked up, yeah. It was too, yeah. It was crazy. And then I've got a recording of my basically housemaster, who was like the guy that head of like all the 60 boys in a house, and the housemaster's like he's the teacher that looks after this.
It's like high school, like the
Yeah,
school you
like
went to.
school,
Yeah.
School, yeah.
Were you like boarding school?
Yeah, it was
Did you go to the same school that Prince William went to?
awesome.
Sorry, I just
No, he was at.
Also, I heard they're moving to the country to give their kids a normal life. So reasonable.
Yeah.
So reasonable.
I don't know if they'll get a normal life.
He was at Eton. No, they definitely.
That's why it was a joke.
As you know, like fucking the family will never get a normal life from the moment shots. Yeah. What was you saying?
Talking about the two boys, one cup.
Yeah, I've got a recording of
The housemaster.
getting really angry afterwards. He's like, why did you do that? I don't know, it's just boys at that age are well weird. Like really weird, like doing random shit. I don't know, maybe he couldn't go to, maybe someone was in the toilet, so he was like, fuck it, I'm just shit. You know. But anyway, yeah, so then I've got this recording of the housemaster, and it's the worst I've ever been told off as a house. He was standing in front of 60 boys.
Were you just recording it like on your phone?
My neighbour was there, and I've got the recording. And,
Oh my God. You know, on the internet, like it was almost more viral than the actual two girls, one cup recording. Was the video of everybody reacting to it, and it was just like watching people like watch this video and just like be like, dude, I like never even saw it. I never even saw it, but like I would watch people just like vomiting, and I would just start vomiting. It was so
It's a
gross.
horrible video.
How that could ever turn into anything even remotely pleasurable?
Guys, if
Yeah.
do you have any last items to add? Otherwise, I'm going to stop this.
Yeah, we are
So
veering off course a little bit.
Okay, bye.